Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our virtual Dirshu Mishnah Berurah share. We're holding in Mishnah Berurah Chelik Hey, and we're going to be learning today Daf Kuf Gimel Amud Aleph. That is the Dirshu Daf Yomi Daf for Sunday morning. Mirz Hashem. I'm recording this actually on Erev Shabbos. We begin today. We're in Sima Tav Tzadik Vav. We're in the midst of Sif Aleph. And we're going to be beginning today on Kuf Beis Amud Beis in the Mishnah Berurah Ois Cotton Beis. However, before I read that Mishnah Berurah, I want to take a look at the Dirshu footnote number 5. Now, Dirshu footnote number 5 is located in the back of the Dirshu Mishnah Berurah. I have the hard-covered version. I'm not sure about the page numbers in the soft-covered pamphlets, but in the hard-covered Dirshu Mishnah Berurah, it's on page 51 in the back. And it's just a very interesting footnote that discusses the origins of Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos. So it says over here in the footnote, Kasav Rav Hai Goyin, Takanas Yom Tov Sheni hi mimei hanavim harishonim. Rav Hai Goyin tells us that this minig of Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos dates back to the early Nevi'im. V'chei nahagu Yecheskel v'Daniel. And he says we can find this by Yecheskel and Daniel. And then Rav Hai Goyin says, "V'yitachen," and it's possible, sheYeshua ben Nun hu shetikein takanazu, that it's really Yeshua ben Nun that began this concept of Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos lagabe ha'anashim hayotzim me'eretz Yisrael lechutz la'aretz, for people who left Eretz Yisrael to go live in chutz la'aretz. Ub'shem Rav Sadia Goyin hu v'sham, in the name of Rav Sadia Goyin, we find in the Chuvas HaGaonim that it says Moshe Rabbeinu hitztava al Yom Tov Sheni mipi HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos actually comes from Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu commanded this idea of Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos mipi HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So I'm not sure if that means that Rav Sadia Goyin is telling us then that Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos would be a halacha l'Moshe miSinai. I'm not sure what that does to the question of Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos being a Drabanan. If it's halacha l'Moshe miSinai, it would be a daraisa. We have to look at the Chuvas Kainim inside. V'tziva es b'nei Yisrael al kach v'kasav, and it writes. They write over there. Shel melavad achshash shemeyishkach hacheshbon b'shas hashmad. We mentioned yesterday that one of the reasons for Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos, even nowadays when we have a set calendar and we know for sure when Yom Tov is. We said that there was a fear that through all the travails that Klal Yisrael goes through, the cheshbon might be forgotten. It says over here, Ein lahakal b'Yom Tov Sheni machmas sha'cheshbon yadua. There's another reason why you cannot be makel with Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos even when you have a calendar. Kevan she'ein anu yodim as kol tamei hatakana. This is fascinating. They write in the name of the Gaonim that we have to remember. We have an understanding that the reason for Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos is because of a sveika diyoma, of a question of the cheshbon of the calendar. However, the Gaonim seem to write, Ein anu yodim es kol tamei hatakana. We cannot be certain that we fully appreciate and fully understand the rationale for the takana of Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos. Maybe there are other reasons why they were masakin Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos. We never had a body of people since Yecheskel and Daniel who are on the level that they should be able to be mevatel, something that was set in place by the Bezdin of Yecheskel and Daniel. So it's very interesting. And he brings down here, I didn't have a chance to look at it, they mention here in the Dirshu footnote that you should look at the Meshech Chachma, who writes that there's another tam for the takana of Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos. Maybe over Shabbos I'll have a chance to look at this Meshech Chachma, but this is fascinating. And the truth is that this is always something that we have to bear in mind. There are a lot of things, especially the Rabbanans, where we think that we understand the reasoning. We think we understand what the tam is. Certainly by Daraisis, we guess that we know what we think the tam of the mitzvah is, but there's so much at work, we don't know. I'll give you an interesting example. I personally wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. Now, the reason I wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin, my father, Alav Shalom, did not wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. My Rebbe, Berurah Zalazan Gesund, does not wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. I wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin because my grandfather, Olav Shalom, my mother's father, wore Rabbeinu Tam tefillin, and b'Seif Yamav, well, he thought it was Seif Yamav, when he was in his mid-90s. I guess, how old was he? He was probably about 92. He came over to me and he asked me a favor. I was very close to him. He asked me a favor. He said, I wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin, and I wore Rabbeinu Tam tefillin my whole life. But I only have one son. It's an uncle of mine. He doesn't put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. And I asked the grandchildren, and none of my grandchildren put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. That means that when I pass away, the minig of putting on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin is going to disappear from my line. It's going to disappear from the family. I don't want that to happen. So he asked me a favor. I'll buy you Rabbeinu Tam tefillin, and please put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. I wasn't so happy with it because I'm very makpid on the concept of Messiah. Sometimes I have some children who make fun of me for it. I hope they'll appreciate it one day. I'm very, very makpid, and I have rayas from many Gemaras throughout Shas on the Chaimer Hadavar of Messiah. We do according to the Messiah that we were Makabel. We follow them in Hagim that we were Makabel from those that came before us. We're Makabel from our Rabbeim. We do what our Rabbeim did, what our parents did. So to break the Messiah is something that's very chomer to me. So that I should put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin when my father wasn't putting it on. My father wasn't alive anymore at that time. But when my father didn't put it on, and when my Rebbe didn't put it on, is something I'm very uncomfortable with. I'm going to make myself bigger than my Rebbe. If you look at halacha, it says Rabbeinu Tam tefillin should be put on by somebody who's known to be a Bal Nefesh, etc., etc. So I should put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin when my Rebbe doesn't put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. So I told my grandfather, I said, I'll ask a shayla. So I went to Berurah and I asked Berurah. Berurah told me, he said, as far as your father is concerned, the truth is that your father should have put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. My father came from a Hasidic mishpacha. He should have put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. Had he grown up in Europe, in Salish, he would have put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. It's very interesting. And the truth is, I would like to find out. I don't know how. I probably can't find out anymore. Nobody from that generation is alive anymore in the family. My father was bar mitzvahed before the war. I wonder if he had Rabbeinu Tam tefillin before the war. I don't know. But everybody in the family, my uncle, who remained Chassidish, my father's older brother, puts on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. He says, your father didn't put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin because of the war. He went through the Milchama. He was a survivor. And after that, he did not remain Chassidish. So he didn't put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. But al zminig, he would have put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. So that's as far as my father. And Berurah said, he said, as far as myself, I'm not makpid. And your grandfather, who you're close to, is asking you a taiva, you should do it l'chvaydai, but you should learn the halacha first, and you should learn what's involved in putting on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin, so you can have an appreciation for it. So I wear Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. Now, where did Rabbeinu Tam tefillin come from? Of course, the tam for the minig to put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin is because Rabbeinu Tam had a different shita in how the parshias of the shel rosh should be inserted in the shel rosh. We paskin like Rashi, so we put on Rashi tefillin to be yotze the mitzvah. But Hayois Rabbeinu Tam, a Chashav Rishon or Bali Taisvis, he had a different shita. So there's this concept to put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. Now, of course, the halacha is like Rashi. There isn't even a suffix. We're not putting on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin to be yotze midei suffix, that we want to make sure that we cover our bases. No, Rav Moshe writes in the Tshuva that there is no suffix. The halacha is like Rashi. We put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin als lichvoid, the shita of one of the Gedolei Rishonim, Rabbeinu Tam, on such a mitzvah chamura like tefillin. So we go ahead, we put on Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. Now, how did the minig start? The question always becomes, I don't understand. How could there be a machlokes in the days of the Rishonim? Which way to put the parshas in the shel rosh is right? Open up tefillin. I don't understand. How could it suddenly become a machlokes in the time of Rabbeinu Tam? Should the parshas be put in this way, or should the parshas be put in that way? Everybody's been putting on tefillin for thousands of years. So open up tefillin and see how they put in. Ask the Seifrim, how's it done? Suddenly it's gevarin a machlokes. Some Seifrim say do it this way, some Seifrim say that way. Doesn't make any sense. So Berurah and Zal Zayin Gesund always said that it's a nace. The Rabbanu Shalom decided that the world needed a new hashbah. We know that tefillin has a hashbah. You put on tefillin, it has an effect, has an influence on you. It goes into, like my Rebbe my Rebbe, the great Rebbe Elia Schwartz, the Manal of Teresemis and Borough Park, Oliver Shalom, how he used to say by Bar Mitzvah that the tefillin should go into your heart and into your mind, into your bloodstream, because it does. When we put on tefillin, it has an effect on us. The Rabbanu Shalom decided that the world needed a new hashpah. It needed a hashpah that could only come from Rabbeinu Tam tefillin. So he Pashut made an ace that is Gevar and Machlokes of how the tefillin should be. And one said, what do you mean? Of course it's got to be this way. The other said, no, it's got to be this way. They opened up tefillin, and guess what? One cipher was doing it this way, and one cipher was doing it that way. So we don't know what's behind a takana. We think that the takana of Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos is only because of Sveika D'Yoma, but we might be off base. There might be other timing as well. So we can't be makel with something like Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos because we don't know what goes into it. Okay. Now let's take a look at Mishnah Berurah's cut and base. The Mechaber had said that we actually put somebody who's mezalzel in Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos, we put him in cherem. He wrote Vayum Nadin Lemisha Mezalzel Boy. Says the Mishnah Berurah's cut and base. Bemezid. This is talking about somebody who intentionally does malacha on Yom Tov Sheni, and he's mezalzel in Yom Tov Sheni. He treats it very lightweight. He treats it nonchalantly. Mezalzel means he searching for the English word. To be mezalzel in something is to treat it with a lack of respect. Even if what he does is he's mezalzel in Yom Tov Sheni by doing an issa derabanan, or he goes out of the tchum, which is a derabanan. Nami menadin, we still put him in cherem. The kasva achrayim the achrayim right. Afilu chilulay al yedei akum nami hu benidui. Even if he's mezalzel in Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos by doing malacha through a non-Jew, we also put him in cherem. The chol ma'asha asa b'rishon asa b'sheni, because whatever is asa on Yom Tov Rishon is asa on Yom Tov Sheni, and Amir La'akim is asa on Yom Tov Rishon. V'nisbar b'paiskim, and the paiskim explained the Yom Tov Sheni chamer bazem Yom Tov Rishon, that Yom Tov Sheni actually has a stringency over Yom Tov Rishon in this way. The Yom Tov Rishon ein menadin rak ba'avar al issa da'araisa. On Yom Tov Rishon, you only put somebody in cherem if he's mezalzel on the first day of Yom Tov by doing a daraisa. Aval al shvus derabanan, but if somebody gets up amazed and does a derabanan on Yom Tov Rishon, ein menadin, you don't put him in cherem. Rak malkan oisai makas mardis. In a time when Bezdin was able to enforce its laws, they would give a person who was over on a derabanan on Yom Tov Rishon, they would give him makas mardus. They would give him a form of malchus. It's not malchus daraisa, but they would give him a malchus derabanan. Masha ein kain b'Yom Tov Sheni, but they wouldn't put him in cherem. Putting somebody in cherem is worse than malchus. Malchus, makas mardus, you have to withstand some machlokes rishonim, whether or not it's 13 lashes, or it's up to 39 lashes, or it's achetetze nafshay if he doesn't do tshuva. But it's a one-time thing. Cherem is a long-lasting punishment. Masha ain't came Yom Tov Sheni, but on Yom Tov Sheni you go right to cherem. So Yom Tov Sheni is more chamer than Yom Tov Rishon. Va'atam, and the reason for this is mishum the Yom Tov Rishon, the Yom Tov Sheni kol ikray einay elam derabanan. The entire Yom Tov Sheni is only a takana derabanan. In Cain, if so, ki avar by al ezer davar shahu. If you're over on Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos, which is only a derabanan, in any way, shape, or form, even if you're only over on it on a derabanan level, hareyu ka'ikaris kulay. What you're doing is you're totally destroying the takana of Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos. Let's understand. Yom Tov Rishon is a daraisa. So let's say chas v'chalila, somebody gets up and he transgresses Yom Tov Rishon by doing a derabanan. So he doesn't declare that the whole Yom Tov day is not a Yom Tov. The Yom Tov is still b'mkaima emedes. It's a daraisa. It's there. It's a fact. It's Yom Tov. It's a din daraisa. And even if he was mezalzel in Yom Tov Rishon by doing a darabanan, the daraisas still remain in place. There's still isurei daraisa. So it's not like he's totally uprooting the concept of Yom Tov Rishon. He can't. It's a daraisa. But if somebody does a malacha, even if he only does a malacha derabanan on Yom Tov Sheni, so you're totally uprooting the concept of Yom Tov Sheni if you do a derabanan. The whole thing is only derabanan. So if you declare on Yom Tov Sheni, I'm not listening to the derabanan, I'm going to do this a derabanan, well, then you're uprooting the whole Yom Tov Sheni, because the whole Yom Tov Sheni is only a derabanan. So by Yom Tov Rishon, you're not uprooting the whole Yom Tov. The deraisa is b'mkaim emedes. But by Yom Tov Sheni, which is a Darabanan, even if you only do a Darabanan, you're totally uprooting the concept of Yom Tov Sheni. You're not uprooting the whole Yom Tov Rishon by doing the Darabanan, because he didn't go against the Daraisis, he did a Darabanan. So you're denying the Darabanans on Yom Tov Rishon, which is certainly a terrible thing. And Malkin Oisai Makas Mardus, but you're not uprooting Yom Tov Rishon, you didn't do a Daraisa. So therefore, in that sense, Yom Tov Sheni is actually more chomer than Yom Tov Rishon. However, the Mishnah Berurah says, "V'yesh paiskim chokim bazeh." There are paiskim that disagree with this. And according to them, ein chiluk klal ben Yom Tov Rishon l'sheni. We don't differentiate between Yom Tov Rishon and Yom Tov Sheni at all in this regard, as far as punishment for somebody who disregards Yom Tov Rishon or Yom Tov Sheni. And whether or not you should put somebody in cherem or give him makas mardus is up to the dayanim of the time. They have to look at what happened, and they have to look if they should be lenient with this fellow and only give him malchus, or they should be machmir on him and they should put him in cherem. And it could be that even on Yom Tov Rishon they'll put him in cherem. But for Yom Tov Rishon they could put somebody even in cherem. Right? If somebody does malacha on Yom Tov Sheni based on the psak that he got from a Rav, even if that psak was faulty, it was an erroneous psak, you cannot put him in cherem for that. He's not amazing. He's a shaygik. You listen to the Rav. Ice cutting up. Now we go to the top in the Shulchan Aruch on Kuf Gimel Amud Aleph. So the Mechaber said, if somebody does malacha on Yom Tov Sheni, his mezalzel in Yom Tov Sheni, does malacha da'araisa, we put him in cherem. Now the Mechaber says, v'him utzurva derabanan. But if he's a Talmud Chacham, if he's a Ben Torah, if he's somebody who sits and learns, then lo hayu machmirin l'nadoisai, then they were not machmir to put him in cherem, ela hayu malkin oisai, rather they would give him malchus. Why should this be? Why would it be that if a Ben Torah somehow, if somebody who sits in the Bismedrish, he's a shlikal Talmud Chacham, and Tzurva D'Rabbanan means he's a Talmud of the Chachamim. So why should he be treated more leniently? Let's see the Mishnah Berurah. The Mishnah Berurah says a nice cut in Gimel. Elohayu Malkid Isai, they would give him Malchus. He doesn't speak it out over here. I thought he does. First, let's see what the Mishnah Berurah says. V'shir Malchus Mardus, as far as how many Malchus you give, how many lashes. For Makas Mardus, Yesh Bazadayas Ben Paiskim. There are differences amongst the Paiskim. Ayin b'Magen Avram. The Magen Avram, I believe, is the one who says 13 lashes. Veli Araba, the Gra says even more. Then there's also in the Rambam in one place says Achetetze Nafshoy. Taisus, I believe, says that there's a difference. Sometimes Makas Mardus is up to 39 or even less. Sometimes it's Achetetze Nafshoy, which means until his nefesh leaves him, until he dies. What's the difference? The difference is it depends what's going on. If somebody refuses to accept a din d'Rabbanan, then the Rambam would say you give him Malchus Achetetze Nafshoy, or until he recants and he says that he will accept the din d'Rabbanan. We cannot have people walking around not accepting dinei d'Rabbanan. But if you're giving Makas Mardus as an einish, like in this simon over here, where he's not getting Makus because he refuses to accept the Rabbanon. This person didn't get up and deny the validity of Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos. He had a taiva, he did a malacha. So now you want to give him an einish. An einish is up to 39 Malkus. Why should the einish on the Rabbanon be bigger than the einish on the Daraisa? So if the einish of Malkus Daraisa is up to 39, so the Rabbanon is also up to 39. Okay. Now, as far as why it would be that a tzurva merabanan is treated more leniently, that's because there's an Indian of kavod HaTorah. If we're going to take somebody who's a Talmud Chacham and we're going to go put him in cherem, so now we're publicizing that even a Talmud Chacham, that we have a Talmud Chacham over here who is mezalzel in Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos, and that could chas v'chalila create a chilul shem shamayim. And the truth is, a tzurva merabanan who gets up and does something like that, unfortunately, in Shemayim, they'll probably damn him for chilul shem shamayim, because people are going to look at what he did and they may chas v'chalila learn from him. That's the true meaning of chilul shem shamayim. You know, when you're kids and you go to yeshiva and they take you on a trip, they tell you you're going to go out amongst the goyim, watch how you behave. If you don't behave, it's going to be a chilul Hashem. That's true. But that's not the real bad, the real worst chil shem shemayim. The really bad chil shem shemayim is when other from a yidden learn from you to do averis. So if you're a tzurva merabanan and now it becomes publicized, did you hear what Yankel Shmerel did? Yankel Shmerel, the Talmid Chacham who sits and learns in the Bismedrash all day, he was mezalzel in Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos, and they put him in chayrim. Oh, okay, but if a tzurva merabanan could do that, so maybe I should learn from him. I also don't have to be so careful about Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos. So we don't want to publicize it by putting him in chayrim. He's going to they're going to take care of him in Shemayim, and Adarabah. He's going to get worse patch in Shemayim for being mezalzel and Yom Tov Sheni shel galuyos that Stama guy did, because Stama guy is only going to get it in Shemayim that he was mezalzel in the Rabbanon. This fellow is going to get that he was mezalzel in the Rabbanon and he made a chil shem Shemayim. And chil shem Shemayim, we know what the Rambam says, that only Misa is mechaper. So, somebody once asked me, what's the big deal that the Rambam says that only Misa is mechaper and chil shem Shemayim? That means everybody is going to get kapara for chil shem Shemayim, because everybody dies eventually. So it's an automatic kapara. Yeah, it's true, it's an automatic kapara. But you have to live your entire life in a status of not getting kapara. I mean, somebody made a chil Shemayim, it doesn't matter how much tshuva he does, everything else, his status in the eyes of Shemayim, the rest of his life, he's walking around that he's lacking kapara. For his whole life, he's lacking kapara, because he's not going to get the full kapara until the day he dies. That's a big deal. Okay. Siv Beis. Ein chiluk ben rishon l'sheni ela le'inyan meis. The only difference between Yom Tov Rishon and Yom Tov Sheni is when it comes to somebody Nebuch who died on Yom Tov. The halacha is that if somebody passes away on Yom Tov Rishon and you have to be misasik with him, you need to call the Chever Kadisha. Everything has to be done through a non-Jew. A Yid is not allowed to be metapel with the mace on Yom Tov Rishon. But on Yom Tov Sheni, a Yid is allowed to be metapel with the mace. And also, if you need to apply some sort of medication to the eye on Yom Tov, that on Yom Tov Rishon, you have to do it through a non-Jew. On Yom Tov Sheni, you're allowed to do it. And this question of the eye is only an example of something where somebody is not really a chayla. It's a mechash, it's a problem that's affecting his eye, but it's not affecting the rest of his body. So he's a chayla, but he's not a chayla sheyesh by sakana, and he's not a chayla b'chol gufay. His entire body is not being affected. It's only the eye, and there's really no danger to the eye either. So then on Yom Tov Rishon, you're not allowed to do it by yourself, but on Yom Tov Sheni you are. And the Ramah says, Haga oishar chayli she'ein by sakana. The eye is only an example. We're talking about a chayla she'ein by sakana. V'afal pisha asa b'rishain ela al yidei eino Yehudi im ein by sakana. Even though on Yom Tov Rishon you're not allowed to do this kind of refuah only through the agency of a non-Jew, Sheni mutar afilu al yidei Yisrael. On Yom Tov Sheni you're allowed to do this kind of refuah even by a Yisrael himself. Chutz b'Yom Tov Sheni shel Rosh Hashanah, with the exception of the second day of Rosh Hashanah, which is not treated any differently than the first day. The Shnei Yomim kedusha achas arichtahein, because we paskin that the 2 days of Rosh Hashanah are really treated as one. It's one kedusha arichta. It's one long kedusha. There's no difference between the first day and the second day at all. Says the Mishnah Berurah is cotton dalad. El inyan mace mishum kvaydai. If you have to be misasik with a mace because of kavod mace on Yom Tov Rishon, it has to be done through a non-Jew. On Yom Tov Sheni, Yisrael can do it. If somebody has a fire broke out on his house and he has to put out the fire, what are the differences between the first day Yom Tov and the second? Ayin Prichadash, and we will discuss this later on. To apply some sort of medication to the eye. Myri, we're discussing here a case where somebody's eye is bothering him. The chalgufay bari, but the rest of his body is healthy. The problem in his eye is not affecting the rest of his body at all. So it's something it's isolated to the eye, and there's no sakana to him, and there's no sakana to the aver, there's no sakana to the eye, and he doesn't feel any problem in the rest of his body at all. The Bekagoin Zen, in such a case, B'Shabbos Yom Tov, if it would be Shabbos or Yom Tov Rishon, also Lasei Shum Refuah Al Yidei Atzmai. He wouldn't be allowed to do anything on his own, I feel a B'Shinoi, even if he does it through a Shinoi. U'Kamoshin is Parla El Siman Shin Chav Chesed Yozayin, Mishnah Berurah of Cotton and Beis. V'Achav Yom Tov Sheni, but on Yom Tov Sheni, Shari L'Chatchila Afilu B'Lo Shinoi, he's allowed to do it by himself, L'Chatchila, even without a Shinoi. Ais Cotton Vav, the Ramah said this is not something, a halacha that's only to the eye, it's not exclusive to the eye, or any other kind of problem. The gam came b'she'enoi kol aguf. Guy, I don't know, a guy has a problem on a toe. So it's not, if it's not affecting the rest of his body, if there's no danger to the toe, if there's no danger, I'm not talking about an infection that could chas v'chalila come to a blood infection. I stubbed his toe. I don't know. It's not something that affects the rest of his body. There's no sakana to the rest of his guf, and no sakana to the aver. So you're not allowed to do anything on Shabbos or Yom Tov Rishon by yourself. You would have to go through the agency of a non-Jew. But on Yom Tov Sheni, you're allowed to. It's cut Zayin by Sheni mutter. Why? Shebipnei hanoas haguf, something that will make the guf feel better. Lo yichmiru by Yom Tov Sheni b'shvus d'Rabbanan. We were not makbid on Yom Tov Sheni on a d'Rabbanan. Aser li Yisrael. Now we're going to stop over here at the words of the Ramah. Thank you so much for joining me for limud HaTorah. Mitzvah Hashem will continue on Monday with the words of the Ramah here on Kuf Gimel Amud Aleph. Be well.